Throughout its history, the country of Poland has been occupied by others. Beginning in the 1700s, this European country would fall under the authority of Prussians, Russians, and Austrians, but the people would never accept foreign rule. They have been ingrained with the idea of taking a stand. On September 1, 1939, under the dictates of Adolf Hitler, German Nazi forces would invade Poland. Their goal was to reclaim land they had lost at the end of World War I. His plan was for the racially superior Aryan race to colonize the territory while destroying the Polish nation completely through genocide, beginning with the Jews. Ghettos were created to separate and alienate Jews from the rest of the population. The largest ghetto was in Poland's capital city, Warsaw, with over 400,000 Jews imprisoned behind its walls. The vast majority died from disease or starvation, were shot or deported to killing centers. Polish officers and soldiers who escaped German arrests met to form underground organizations to take a secret stand against the German occupation, but they did not predict the horrendous events that would unfold. In Poland during World War II, German occupation led to the creation of the underground organization Żegota that would take a secret stand to aid Jews escaping genocide. Their work saved thousands of innocent lives. In the beginning of the German occupation, many Jewish Poles believed that if they followed the rules, they would be safe. German Nazis kept their hopes alive by using resettlement propaganda and moving Jews to camps. But by 1942, underground groups concluded that these camps were a death sentence and set out to help the Polish Jews. This would be no easy task. Spies working for the German Nazis would turn in the names of anyone helping the Jews from the ghettos and certain death. Irina Sendler, to save one child, 10 Poles and 2 Jews had to risk death. To betray that same child and the family that hid him required one informer, or worse still, one blackmailer. The risk of being caught by the SS was not prison, but death. Death for the entire family. But thousands of Poles were willing to take this stand. Of these brave men and women, 2 people come together under the guide of their Catholic faith to organize a network that spanned across the country to undermine the German Nazi occupation and help thousands of Jews escape certain death. Wanda Krahelsk was not new to resistance movements. 3 decades before the German occupation, she took part in an assassination attempt on the Russian Governor-General of Warsaw. Sophia Kosak was a well-known conservative Catholic writer, and many of her writings were considered anti-Semitic. In fact, she regarded Jews as political, economic, and ideological enemies of Poland. But when the mass deportation of Jews from the Warsaw Ghetto began in the summer of 1942, Kosak published a leaflet titled Protest, in which she wrote, "We are required by God to protest, God who forbids us to kill. We are required by our Christian consciousness. Every human being has a right to be loved by his fellow men. The blood of the defenseless cries to heaven for revenge. Those who oppose our protests are not Catholics." Their Catholic faith and love of Poland would push them into taking a stand against the German occupation. Both women would work for separate Polish underground organizations in the beginning of the occupation until coming together to create the Provisional Committee to Aid Jews on September 27, 1942. This was the first time that a formal Polish group was created that operated on the basis of cooperation and trust between secret Jewish and Polish organizations to take a stand against the Nazi occupation of Warsaw and mass extermination of hundreds of thousands of Jews. But due to a shortage of funds, this committee would soon evolve into a new group and given the code name Konrad Żegota. In the aid to Jews, no conversations relating to the help could be risked, so Żegota was used in all conversations, documents, receipts, and notes. It would represent all activities involving help to the Jewish people. It was divided into different branches: legalization, housing, financial, child welfare, medical, clothing, propaganda, and anti-spy activities. Each person in the organization was assigned to a specific branch based upon their skill. The main base of Żegota was found in Warsaw, but its secret network would extend all over Poland. Polish men and women would risk torture and death to take a stand in protecting others, and escaped Jews would risk their safety to help those still trapped under the Nazi occupation.
The organization was based on a pact between different politically diverse groups. We had to help as much as we could. We didn't have the opportunity in an occupied country to save thousands,
Kogo się da, lub ile możesz.
but you had to save whomever you could.
Przykazanie chrześcijan
The major Christian commandment is love your neighbor,
mówi o granicy.
just as you love yourself. So do as much as you can.
Czyli rób ile możesz.
Irena Sindler was one such woman to take a stand. She would head the children's welfare section. When the Warsaw Ghetto walls were closed to outsiders, she and her assistant were able to continue entering under the claim of preventing a spread of diseases. They were able to help 2,500 Jewish children escape through the ghetto walls. On the Aryan side, they were placed in orphanages, convents, schools, hospitals, and private homes with new birth and baptismal certificates, along with new names. All the changes were carefully recorded so that at the end of the war, the children could be claimed by surviving family. In the autumn of 1943, Sindler was arrested and sent to prison where she was subjected to severe torture that left her crippled for life, but she never revealed the Żegota Council and other Jewish networks that were taking a stand. Another Pole to take a stand against the Nazis was Ferdynand Arkiski. Treasurer and head of the legalization section, he would help provide IDs, work cards, Catholic birth, and marriage certificates to over 4,000 Jews hiding outside of the Warsaw Ghetto. He also assisted in providing hiding places, places to live, medical help, and monthly cash allowances. These are but two examples of Żegota members who would risk their lives in standing up to the German occupiers. The list includes hundreds of members and network alliances. Żegota was made up of social and political activists who had connections to other organizations and people who could aid them in their stand. One such alliance came from the director of the Warsaw Zoo and his family. Antonio and Jan Zabinski, along with their son Rizard, provided hiding places for fleeing Jews in the abandoned animal cages. Word of their help was passed along the Żegota network, and over the course of 3 years, hundreds of Jews found temporary shelter at the Warsaw Zoo. Many would show up with new identities and false documents provided by Żegota. The committee would also provide funds to the Zabinski family to aid in their secret stand against the Nazi occupiers. Żegota would help many others in the form of money, food, medicines, identification papers, and secure shelters. Many hiding Jews did not want to risk being exposed, so most help happened quickly and spontaneously through personal connections. Vladislav Bartelski, who worked for Żegota during the war, estimates that at least several 100,000 Poles participated in various ways and forms in the rescue action for Jews. Recent research suggests that 1 million Poles were involved in giving aid, and some estimates go as high as 3 million, including those who were passively protective. Throughout the war, at least 20,000 members of different Polish underground organizations, including some from Żegota, were captured and executed by the Germans. Thousands more were imprisoned, tortured, and sent to concentration camps. Even with the stand that Żegota and other secret organizations took, it is estimated that 90% of Polish Jews perished by the end of World War II. With the advancement of the Soviet Union into Poland, the German occupiers fled east. As Poland fell under the control of the Communist Soviets, over 150 surviving Jews immigrated to the west, where they helped form the State of Israel. Żegota's goal of standing up to the Nazi occupiers ended, and their secret stand would not come to light until later. Many members of Żegota were memorialized in Israel in 1963 with the planting of a tree in the Avenue of the Righteous at Yad Vashem. These exceptional men and women went beyond their personal resistance and were prepared to lay down their own lives so that others may have theirs. The example of this secret stand echoes through today. They have taught us a vital lesson that there is always a choice. You can choose to look away, or you can choose to take a stand. Many people across the world stand up to persecution when they remember the millions of deaths from the Holocaust. It is not enough to teach how terribly the victims of the Holocaust died. Instead, we must also teach how they lived and about those who had the courage to take a stand.